Amit Arundel, congratulations, you've been selected as my second personalized video tutorial. Recently just got a tweet from you, pretty good for a screencast newbie, referring to the first video that I made. Please make more of these to show how to make updates, inserts, and deletes to a MySQL database. So Amit, I'm assuming you're talking about with PHP and MySQL. So there's a couple assumptions I'm going to make on this video tutorial. First one is, you know, basics of HTML, PHP, a little bit of CSS, definitely not needed though, and some basic SQL, MySQL. You know how to get everything up and running. So what I've got over here pretty much is a basic PHP/HTML page. There's some data already pre-populated in the database, which I'll get to, but as you can see, we're going to go and have a dinner table, pun intended. So over here you've got the order number 1, 2, appetizers, entrees, desserts. I've already got the pre-populated fields in here. And so as you can see, this is how we're going to be selecting the data, inserting new data. What do you want for dinner, fatty? You can go ahead and add your app, entree, dessert, place your order, and say, you know, you're not too happy with your order. Why don't you just go ahead and edit your previous order? We can't promise you that we won't put some extra sauce on the side because, you know, you're pissing us off changing your order. So in order to do that, we just need one extra field, and that's going to be the order number, because we have to go back to the database and update the order based on the number. So as you can see over here, I've got SQL Pro. If you want to go real hardcore, you can do it through the terminal. I find it a lot easier to have some kind of GUI application and deal with databases. And as you can see, pretty much the same information that we had before, just displaying on the page, you know, with the ID, the app, the entree, and the dessert. So let's get into it. Going over Sublime here. So as you can see up at the top, just a standard HTML page, just a very little bit of CSS embedded up at the top. Before I get started, I just want to say that the PHP we're using here, while yes, it does work, it's not necessarily the best way to go about inserting, updating, and selecting database records. There's really no security sanitization in this. You know, there's definitely better ways to do it, whether it's you know, using PDO or whatever flavor of interaction you might like to select and update stuff from the database via PHP. All I'm doing here is showing you the most basic ways to implement this in PHP. So, starting things off, up at the top, we create a connection using the MySQL connect function. Localhost as the host, root, and root. Don't go stealing my username and password. I might have to kill you. So pretty much that just establishes a connection, and this MySQL connect returns a handle which gets passed to the connection. On this line right here, if the handle is either true or false, all right. So if it returns false, it has trouble connecting to the database, and we you know, kill the application, return a nice little error to the user saying that we couldn't connect. Once we are able to connect to the database and we pass this test right here, we do a MySQL select database. This is where we go ahead and select the database. If I jump back over, you'll see we're on the test database right here, and we're still using that same connection handle. We're going to skip this part for now. We'll get right back to it. So pretty much we've got everything in place to go ahead and run a query. Gets all the dinners from the dinner table. So we're running the query right here, select star from dinner. Once again, if you don't understand what this means, pause this video right now, go to Google, and figure out what the hell SQL does, how it works, syntax, all that jazz. Alright, so we're selecting all the elements from the dinner table, and we're putting in dinner's variable. Up here at the top, standard HTML, we've got a table. Alright, we're displaying the different headers up here up at the top. And this is where we're actually displaying the information. So we're using a Y conditional or Y statement, and we're running the MySQL fetch array, and we're running that on the dinner's query. So this goes ahead and it runs the SQL command, all right, and then we're going to get every time we've got a new row from the database, all right, we're running this command here, assigning it to the row, and then the row actually becomes an associative array. So as you can see here, we are outputting the value of the row's ID, app, entree, dessert. And those are one-to-one correlation with the titles up here, ID, app, entree, and dessert. Alright, and I showed this in the previous video, but in case this isn't working for you, the syntax, these are PHP short tags. This is equivalent to saying PHP echo. But since I have short tags enabled, which most web servers do, I'm just going to go ahead and use the short tags there. Makes it a little bit easier. And then down here, I'm doing the end while. So pretty much all this is going to do is for every while we still have new records in the database, so you can go through, create a new table row, and output the data. All right. So now down here, where we want to create a new dinner order, we are creating a form right here with the action of MySQL.php, this actual file. What you can do also is set it to another PHP file as well too to do the processing, but just for simplicity's sake, we're going to send it back to ourselves. The method is going to be a post, so when we go and submit it, you're not going to see any parameters up in the URL. That would be a get method as opposed to the post, which is what we're going to be doing. Basically, pretty simple. We've got the label, the input types are all going to be text. The name right here, entree, app, app, entree, dessert, and place of order. Pretty much the same thing is going on here to edit the orders that we have. You can change them. The only additional field that we have here is the ID field, which is going to map up with this guy right here. Alright, so now going back to the PHP code that we talked about up at the top here. So what happens when the user submits the form? First, we're going to see, so when we first come to this page, the post variable, alright, I just entered it. The post variable is, there's got no data inside of it. So, and that's because nothing has been submitted from either this form or this form down here. So the first thing we need to do is see if there's anything in the post variable. All right. So if there is, the empty is just evaluating whether or not that it is empty, and this is going to be the opposite with this little bang right here. So that pretty much says, if the post variable is not empty, we're going to go down to the next line. All right. Now this is going to be the difference between updating and actually inserting the new content. So once again, all right, now the post variable is not empty. Let's look for an ID tag because that's the one difference between the update and the inserting. All right, we have an ID tag. Let's go ahead and run our query. So we're going to update dinner, which is the table we got over here, our dinner table. All right. We're going to set the app is equal to the post value of the app. The entree is the post value entree. The dessert is the post value of dessert. And we're going to set that all those values where the ID is equal to the post ID. So all these values right here from the post array are all being populated from the name tag down here. All right. So we go ahead, run that query, and update is going to return either true or false. If it returns false, then we know that there was some kind of problem running the query. A very easy one would be is if we try and update an order where there's no ID that exists. So as you can see right here, all we have is 1 and 2. If we try and say update ID equals 30, it's obviously going to throw us a problem. Throw us an error because we don't have a 30th order. So that's going ahead and updating it. If we aren't going to be updating it, we run another command, a MySQL query, similar to what we have up here, where we're going to be inserting new values. So we just run a simple SQL command, insert into dinner, which is the table that we're inserting to. Here are the list of fields: app, entree, dessert, and then these are the values that we're going to be inserting into these fields respectively: app, entree, and dessert. All right, if we have any problems, once again, with the insert, we're just going to say that we forgot to place the order, and we're going to display the error over here. One of the possibilities would be, that could give us an error is if we have an extra field right here, so an ID field, when we're not supplying a value for it, that's definitely going to throw us an error. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this actually works. So here we go, the page is freshly reloaded. For an appetizer, let's have some Blue Moon beer. Entree, I don't know. We'll go with some pasta and shrimp. And for dessert, we'll wash it down with my favorite, some Jose Cuervo. All right. So we're going to place the order. As soon as we do this, it's going to send the post variable on through. It's going to check on through. It's going to see that it doesn't have an ID. So it's going to go ahead and insert the new data, and then it's going to go back and select it. So you will instantly see all of the orders, especially the one that I'm just creating right now. So we go ahead and place the order. Boom! Now we've got our Blue Moon beer. We've got pasta and shrimp, Jose Cuervo. You might be asking me why this is number 6. Before the video started, I was just doing a few tests with the MySQL auto increment. It never will have the same ID twice. So as you can see, I've already done test runs for IDs number 3, 4, and 5, so that's why it's 6. Typically it would go in order, but that's why you see the number skipping right there. All right, so now we say we want to go ahead and we want to change our order. So we're going to enter in number 6. All right, for appetizer, we'll just change it to some water. Entree, why don't we go with PB&J for a little peanut butter and jelly. And dessert, we'll have some milk to wash it down with. Change order. And there you go. It went ahead and it saw that we were entering the ID number 6, so it knows where to update it, and that's taking the values that we went ahead and posted on over to the database. And if we pop over here to SQL as well too, and we hit refresh, there you go. We've got ID 6, water, PB&J, and milk. So hopefully this gives you just a slight background on how to go ahead and use PHP to connect to a database, select the data, display it in a table, insert new data, and update it based on the ID. So hopefully this helps. Amit, if you've got any more questions, please let me know. Anybody else who would like a personalized computer programming tutorial, whatever you would like, hit me up on Twitter, Dan Ramos D, or check out my blog, danramosd.com.